So the next series we're going to kind of concentrate on is the inversion and the idea of going upside down, putting pressure on our shoulders, on necks. So a lot of guards, a lot of retention from the guard is based around this kind of movement. So what we're going to look at is some basic ways of just warming our neck up, warming our shoulders up, getting used to that and incorporating some drills. So the first one we want to look for is, especially on a cold day, and we need to start warming up. You don't go straight into the inversion itself. What we're going to look to do is a warm-up drill I do quite a lot in terms of just getting the neck ready for complete inversion. So we're going to start with a sitting position again. You can always go back to our knees to our chest position. And from this, I just want to kind of rock myself back.
And notice how I'm not completely inverting. I'm actually using my hands here to support my back just so I can talk to you and go through this technique. But what I'm looking to do is just roll over and get my feet as far over as I can. Once I've got my feet as far as I can, and I've got the curvature in my back, I'm going to use this to sit straight back up.
So from this angle here, what we're looking to do is, as we go backwards,
I'm looking to try to touch my toes to the mat. If I can't do it on the first attempt, that's not a problem. We can warm up. Once we've done the first attempt and we've touched our toes to the mat, or as close as we can, an aggressive sit through
and a push forward. What this means, it just warms the back up, gets the muscles, gets all the joints going. I'd recommend you do as many of these as you can, 25 to 50, even more. It's a nice way of getting used to it.
Roll back.
Notice how my toes on that occasion are able to touch the mat. Okay, those of you who aren't quite as flexible, that is something you can work on. So from this angle here,
touching,
aggressively sitting through. Notice how I flop my arms back as well. Touch the mat. Come through, get warmed up, and sit through. Again, you can incorporate this with your rocking technique, so your core workout. Come back through. So a really good way of getting your back, getting your neck, getting warmed up for the inversions to come. Okay, so once you've established the kind of inversion warm-up drills, we can start incorporating some more movements. So next one we're going to look for is entering into the inversion and then using a sit through or a sit up, using our hips quite aggressively to create the move. So as before with this move, from this angle, we're going to build up
so our legs can come as far over as possible. If you can't quite get your toes to the mat, then don't worry for now, but certainly look to build that up and get the toes to the mats behind you. Using the toes coming up, we're going to use the sit through, so the momentum is going to sit us through
and coming back.
So with this is how the legs are going to work. So when we go back, toes to the mat, we're going to use this leg to like wind up. And as we wind up,
we're going to use our hips and come through. Notice how I land my toe, chest pushes through. I can use this to sit back down into a guard. Hips coming through each time. Beyond that, you can start to add more to it. You could do your reps. You could add into your open guard. So now your inversion guard and your open guard, you can use that in together. Action. So last time we used the sit-up guard or the sitting through from the inversion. This time we're actually going to invert from the guard rather than sitting back. So this is a different, little slight more of an advanced technique, but still something that we need to work on. So this time we could do the same, rocking back and sitting up. Whilst sat up, we actually want to invert from the sat position. So first thing I look to do is drop my shoulder to the mat and my head to the mat. So as I drop sideways, I'm almost like collapsing on my side. From this position, it's important to use your toes. And I want to put myself into an inverted position from here. It's a lot harder to do without momentum, but if you can, come through to the inverted position. So once again, we're going to fall to the side. Imagine I'm trying to tuck my head under my knee and look to the ceiling. As I do that, I want to bring my hips up to the ceiling. Notice how I'm keeping my toes posted on the mat still. But if you find you can't yet get your toes to the mat, you can do it without putting your toes to the mat. So once we've got that mechanic down, we can start to look at putting in a different technique to it. So the two options, number one,
When we get our inversion, we can add in the sit through with the leg.
come back down. Go to the other side. Whip the leg and sit through. So each time we fall to the side, we invert. I want to get used to this position. Leg whips, hips come through, sit myself back down, knees to my chest. So by putting all these together, you can add a little flow drill. And this is your first flow drill, your first sequence of flowing. So we can add the inversion, the hip through, that one again, invert, hip through, or if you want, we can start from the sitting position. We can roll over, invert again, reverse it, hip through. So once you get comfortable being in that inverted position, what this has enabled you to do is string the attacks together. You can start to fall over, roll over, sit through, add those techniques into inversion. All the time we're rolling across our shoulders. So we're keeping that inversion style guard relevant in our drilling.